What a day of football indeed. Stevie Nicol is joining me for this one as Manchester United with a big 5-1 win over Cardiff City. The first time they've scored 5 goals since Sir Alex Ferguson's last game back in May 2013. So Stevie, yes, we're aware that this is Cardiff City, but how significant of a victory was this for Man United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
To be honest, I think it's not really for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's more for United as a club and for the players who have been so disappointing this season. You know, all the things that they haven't been doing, they did in this game.
Does this just show them that Jose was the main problem?
It's one game, so it's maybe a little early to say that, but the truth is that they haven't started a game as well as this one in a long time. They haven't looked as free. I mean, there was players making runs all over the place, you know. I mean, Cardiff helped by the way they stood off them, I thought. And so that just made United more confident. Lots of touches on the ball, lots of passes, lots of players, lots of different players touching the ball. So United, you know, they won 5-1. This could have been more. The third goal, I think it was. I mean, what a super goal. Lovely passing, lovely movement, and then a great finish at the end from Martial. I mean, this is the United that certainly United fans want to see.
Well, one area of concern, I suppose, which would be no surprise, I know that United's back four had a bit of a warm time trying to keep off Kenneth Zohore from Cardiff, and I'm sure that they will come up against some stronger opposition there as well. So what can be done now in the interim, I suppose we could say, so that the defensive issues don't continue to outweigh now this free-flowing, happy attack that we're seeing?
Well, I think the fact, or hopefully the fact that they're going to be more offensive-minded will mean that there's less work for the back line to do, which means they'll be fitter, they'll be stronger, they won't have been worked so hard, their confidence will have grown. I mean, so many things change, particularly with confidence. So, yes, the back line will always need strengthening, but if United can go forward the way they did today, if they can score goals the way they did today, then it just takes the pressure off the back line big time.
All right, well, I know that you and Craig have said on the show ESPN FC that just to see the players playing again, looking like they're happy to be in a United shirt is a huge step forward, and that's exactly what we saw today. What a day we have witnessed in the Premier League, and this is only Saturday, granted most of the fixtures are today. Stevie Nicol is joining me as we look back on them and try to break down one or two interesting results. Stevie, so here we are, and where do you want to start? Because it was two different tales in Manchester.
Well, I think I'm going to just focus on away victories. You know, the biggest surprise of the day, no question, is Crystal Palace beating Manchester City. Another shock was Leicester City going away and winning 1-0 at Chelsea. But then there's a couple of other results that stand out. Watford winning at West Ham, who I thought were a banker to get this at home. And Hasenhüttl at Southampton, what a statement he's making. This is their second win in the trot, but this one is away from home.
How do you describe the players' attitude here? Was it the fact that, right, Mourinho's gone, we can start playing again? Because this is so different to what we've seen in the past.
Well, they've got a good run of games coming up in terms of playing the so-called weaker teams, of which Cardiff were one. So it's twofold here for me. One, it's a happy camp again at the moment. That can change when they start getting defeats, if it comes. But one, it's a happy camp, it's a bit of relief. Two, you get your star player, Pogba, a bit further forward, and you play a front three that's relatively young and got lots of pace and enthusiasm. And the third thing is you're playing a Cardiff side that, for most part, sat off and let Man United do what they wanted.
Right.
And by, I think, Neil Warnock's own words, defended dreadfully. So when you put all that into the melting pot, then you get this performance. Much better, but don't get carried away that, you know, they're not going to go out and dominate a Liverpool or a Man United, but you can't complain with going away from home and getting 5 goals and playing in that manner. So it was an excellent performance.
So hold your horses slightly.
Well, there's no way like an inexperienced manager's coming in and all of a sudden United are turning into a team that are going to be chasing down, you know, the guys at the top. They might have an outside chance for the top 4 if they can put a span of results together. But just a bit of positivity, you know, rather than, you know, having a pre-match Jose Mourinho moan to a reporter and then having a half-time kick at bottles or whatever it is, and then talking about a press conference after a game about signings he didn't get. So just put all that away, get on the field, get playing, get scoring goals, and start getting back to the winning mentality. And it was a great start.
How on earth did this happen?
It's just another bad day for City, and another. I mean, go back to match day 1 in the Champions League when Lyon beat them. It was, I thought at the time it was a good kick up the backside that they needed. So just a little reminder with, you know, people talking about all the time, you know, going unbeaten and doing this and doing the next thing. I don't think anybody at City or any club's particularly bothered about that. It was a great feat when Arsenal did the Invincibles thing, but I think more importantly, it's going to be such a tight race this year that you've just got to be on your toes all the time. And with the Champions League a couple of months away at least, focusing on getting the Premier League and the big fight that he's in with Liverpool. He said it before, he really has got Liverpool in his head.
Yeah, you take a look at it, obviously Liverpool coming up at the start of the new year. Before that, for City, it's Leicester and Southampton. What was interesting today, and I thought was similar to what we saw in their defeat against Chelsea, is that when they go behind City, there doesn't seem to be that composure that you'd normally associate with them. They look a little bit soft.
Yeah, they lose a little bit of control, and I go back to the Chelsea game, which they lost at Stamford Bridge recently. They were totally dominant in that first half, and then Kanté scored, and they went in, and I thought, right, half-time, you know, because that goal was right on half-time, and I thought, right, City are going to regroup here, they're going to come back out, and they're going to give Chelsea another pummeling, and they'll probably get the goals. They came out, and actually, Chelsea dominated them, and it was like, it was, you know, they weren't used to being in that position. And they looked a little bit shell-shocked in this game, in the game at Chelsea. They had lots of possession in this game. And I think it's just a little reminder, Dan, when we talk about the Champions League and how City's chances, I just always feel with City every now and again, they've got a bit of a stinker in them, defensively. And it cost them at Liverpool in the Champions League last year. And results like this, you know, he'll brush it away to a certain extent and say, listen, we've got plenty of time to put it right. But certain areas of the game, they've got to have to keep their control defensively in particular.
Liverpool are 4 points clear now at the top of the table. Obviously, they beat City. They could be 7. Now, are City still favourites in your eyes?
You know, it's real difficult now because Liverpool are purring to a certain extent. Everybody eulogising about Van Dijk. They just look like a solid outfit. I have to say, you know, in this position now, I would say Liverpool have probably just jumped ahead of them in terms of being favourites. They've got the squad. They've got the goalkeeper, they've got the coach who's won titles before in Germany, albeit. They've got players playing well, they've got players coming back from injury. They've got the best defender in the Premier League, if not Europe at the moment, in Van Dijk. And they've got a gap. Now, the last time, and you've probably seen this, the last team to be ahead at Christmas and not win the league was actually Liverpool.
Sure.
But that was under a different manager, different coach, and for most of it, different players. But it's great. I think it's great for the Premier League. But listen, probably the only person that wouldn't want to be leading at this point is Stevie Nicol. He's got these strange things about how it's all going to come about. But they're in a great position, and they don't look. Liverpool, even when they're not playing well, look as if they're still going to win a game. Yeah, and that's the difference at the moment.
What a day of football indeed. Stevie Nicol is joining me for this one as Manchester United with a big 5-1 win over Cardiff City. The first time they've scored 5 goals since Sir Alex Ferguson's last game back in May 2013. So, Stevie, yes, we're aware that this is Cardiff City, but how significant of a victory was this for Man United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
To be honest, I think it's not really for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's more for United as a club and for the players who have been so disappointing this season. You know, all the things that they haven't been doing, they did in this game.
Does this just show them that Jose was the main problem?
It's one game, so it's maybe a little early to say that, but the truth is that they haven't started a game as well as this one in a long time. They haven't looked as free. I mean, there was players making runs all over the place, you know. I mean, Cardiff helped by the way they stood off them, I thought. And so that just made United more confident. Lots of touches on the ball, lots of passes, lots of players, lots of different players touching the ball. So United, you know, they won 5-1. This could have been more. The third goal, I think it was. I mean, what a super goal. Lovely passing, lovely movement, and then a great finish at the end from Martial. I mean, this is the United that certainly United fans want to see.
Well, one area of concern, I suppose, which would be no surprise, I know that United's back four had a bit of a warm time trying to keep off Kenneth Zohore from Cardiff, and I'm sure that they will come up against some stronger opposition there as well. So what can be done now in the interim, I suppose we could say, so that the defensive issues don't continue to outweigh now this free-flowing, happy attack that we're seeing?
Well, I think the fact, or hopefully the fact that they're going to be more offensive-minded will mean that there's less work for the back line to do, which means they'll be fitter, they'll be stronger, they won't have been worked so hard Their confidence will have grown. I mean, so many things change, particularly with confidence. So, yes, the back line will always need strengthening. But if United can go forward the way they did today, if they can score goals the way they did today, then it just takes the pressure off the back line big time.
All right. Well, I know that you and Craig have said on the show ESPN FC that just to see the players playing again, looking like they're happy to be in a United shirt is a huge step forward, and that's exactly what we saw today. What a day we have witnessed in the Premier League, and this is only Saturday, granted most of the fixtures are today. Stevie Nicol is joining me as we look back on them and try to break down one or two interesting results. Stevie, so here we are, and where do you want to start? Because it was two different tales in Manchester.
Well, I think I'm going to just focus on away victories. You know, the biggest surprise of the day, no question, is Crystal Palace beating Manchester City. Another shock was Leicester City going away and winning 1-0 at Chelsea. But then there's a couple of other results that stand out. Watford winning at West Ham, who I thought were a banker to get this at home. And Hasenhüttl at Southampton, what a statement he's making. This is their second win in the trot, but this one is away from home, scoring 3 goals and only losing 1. So
it's a little more convincing then than just a new manager, a knee-jerk reaction.
Well, you talk about an injection of confidence. And, I mean, the way Southampton played at Huddersfield, you would have thought they were kicking for top 4. They played great football. There was loads of movement and some fantastic goals as well. But of the whole weekend, the away victory that has to stand out as much as anything is Manchester United. 5 goals away from home. A team who we've criticised all season long for being dull, boring, ineffective, and they go and get 5 at Cardiff. Now, Cardiff, for me, helped them a little by standing off them, but you still have to play your football. And the third goal from Martial, I thought, was just a world-class goal. Loads of movement, loads of passing, little 1-2s, you name it, and the ball's in the back of the net. So the result that probably will get as much attention as any is going to be Man United scoring 5 goals. When was the last time that happened?
May 2013, to be specific.
There you go.
Sir Alex Ferguson's last game. So nobody else has done it since Fergie, and now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done it in just one game.
Yeah.
In his first game as well.
Welcome into Extra Time. How are the old holiday festivities treating you, Craig?
Yeah, they're ongoing.
Yes.
Regular.
Let's take a look at some tweets, shall we? What's the best golf course you ever played on? Wow.
Oh. Best golf course. I really want to go and play Augusta.
Right.
So I haven't played.
Can you rock up and just play there, or what happens?
You just rock up, yeah. Rock up with it.
Go on.
You can't play it. The best one is probably one of the links in Scotland.
Yeah.
I'll say Turnberry.
I don't think you like playing links golf.
I hate it. I don't like links golf.
Well, how's that your favourite course?
Oh, it's not my favourite course. It's probably.
Well, that's what the question is.
Oh, so what's the best one I've played?
Oh, sorry, best favourite? Surely it's the same thing.
I don't know. I've played a few.
Good, great. Right, move on. Next question. If Thomas Tuchel is able to get his desired transfer targets, do you think PSG will be able to make a deep run in the Champions League? Well, even if he doesn't, they should, shouldn't they?
Yeah. And who would be his desired transfer targets in January? I don't know. They should, and they've got. Who have they got again? Remind us, somebody.
Manchester
They
United.
got Man United, a voice from the deep dark.
How did you forget that?
Well, Man United are on fire now, so things are looking up.
That's it.
They should. They've got to be making a good, like Man
They
City.
have to make a good run.
There's no excuses. There should be no
They
excuses.
should look to win it.
I expect them to deal with Man United quite comfortably, and yeah, it's all about winning it for them.
Yeah, of course. All right, next tweet. Are Liverpool favourites to win the league now? We discussed this on the show, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've got a 4-point gap, then clearly you're in pole position. You've got to play your main rivals in over the Christmas period, so you've got a chance to increase that gap.
Yeah.
And then it's just down to you. So if it's in your hands, as it is for Liverpool at the moment, then you've got to be favourites.
So Liverpool are favourites?
I think they've just taken a little step ahead at the moment. So I don't see any reason why not.
Okay. Next. So now that Bale won the best player in the Club World Cup, will this turn his season around come the new year?
I don't think any of these. Who cares about the Club World Cup?
Real Madrid do. Florentino Perez
Tell you
does.
what, Real Madrid fans. Well, does he? I don't know. He does. He still wants Mourinho to come back.
Yes.
As we believe. Do you think Real Madrid fans, if when they get back to the domestic football, if Barca or Sevilla or Atleti are surging away in the league, do you think anybody's going to bring up the Club World Cup? No, they're not.
No.
So Gareth Bale, like the rest of them, has to get his finger out in La Liga. It's as simple as that, and the Champions League.
Final question. Mike Phelan or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Who do you think has the most effect on the players? It's a good question.
Yeah, I think for me, no doubt, Mike Phelan will have the biggest effect. Of course, I think, you know, he's somebody to lean on for Solskjaer. He'll probably, I mean, I would imagine he's got the final say on well, he will have the final say on the team. But I think the day-to-day interacting with players, training, you know, talking to them, setting them up for just keeping everybody happy. He was there for a long time under Sir Alex Ferguson, and I think it's key. If he'd have brought Solskjaer in on his own, without somebody like him, I really don't think it would have stood much of a chance. At least with Phelan there and his experience, he's got a good chance of at least being progressive between now and the end of the season. So Mike Phelan would be the most important one for me.
That's it then. Thank you very much.
That's got to be the straightest extra time I've ever done.
Oh,
Interesting day in the Premier League so far, as Stevie Nicol and I were just talking, on a day that Manchester City lost to Crystal Palace at home. Chelsea lost to Leicester City at home as well. A lone goal from Jamie Vardy. Remember him? Well, he came to the party again today, Stevie, in another result that we just would not have predicted. So what were wrong for Chelsea on this?
I don't think it's a huge shock to say that we're all asking, where are all Chelsea's goals going to come from this season? And if it's not Eden Hazard, who is it? And really, considering, I mean, the first half pretty much was all Chelsea. Leicester in the second half got way, way better. But for Chelsea, it's who's going to put the ball in the net? Who's going to create? And after Hazard, they just don't look as though they've got any ideas whatsoever.
So much of the same now. Of course, we've been screaming that Chelsea need a striker. I mean, Hazard has been scoring. It seems sometimes that he embraces that role and other times it doesn't. But did Leicester expose any other weaknesses for Chelsea? Because again, just this week we were talking with Craig Burley saying that it finally looks like Chelsea are clicking despite the need for a striker under Sarri.
I would agree with Craig that they're clicking, but they're only clicking when Hazard's on his game, you know. And when you've got your best player, who, no question, Hazard at his best is when he's playing as one of the front three, coming from a wide position, taking on defenders, running at defenders. When he plays as a false nine, as good a player as he is, I think you're taking something away from his game, which means you're taking away from Chelsea's game as well. So, yes, they need a centre-forward. They need a centre-forward who can score goals, but they also need some of the other players, the Willians and the Pedros, to start scoring and creating on a more regular basis. Because right now, what they're given is good enough to beat most sides, but they're going to end up doing what they did today. Not at it, they lose a goal, and then the game's done.
Game's done indeed, and Leicester City walking away from Stamford Bridge with a pretty big 3 points.
Oh, he was going to carry on talking about the game then. Okay. Where do you want to start? Should we start in the 61 games without a penalty? Should we start there? Okay. And a clear double-handed push in the back on Kevin Long. That's a pretty good start, I think. Ashley Barnes getting booked when their player clearly threw an elbow out at him, which I've seen back, by the way. An unnatural arm movement towards the face. Somehow Ashley Barnes came out of that and got booked. 2 dives. No one seems to want to do anything about the diving in the game apart from me. I'm still amazed by it. One of which, well, they don't get booked, and we know that nothing will happen retrospectively, we know that. And therefore, if they were booked, one of their players would have definitely gone off the pitch. Numerous other things. Even at the end, Vids goes through with, I think it was Xhaka, touches him on his shoulder marginally, and he goes down and gets a free kick. I'm just, centre halves now going down with hardly anything. Incredible. But no one seems to want to do anything about it, so I'll leave it there because no one wants to affect the diving. I think they had 3 the other week, and it just goes away, and everyone just goes, oh, well, kids everywhere watching it, all copying. No one seems.
Stevie Nicol is joining me as we look back on what's been quite an interesting day in the Premier League so far. Stevie, try and contain your smile because I know you and the rest of Merseyside that supports Liverpool, of course, is celebrating today as Manchester City surprisingly dropping points at home and losing to Crystal Palace, Stevie. Now, we definitely could not have predicted this. So what went so wrong for them, especially at home?
You know, they haven't, in the final third, the attacking third of the field, they haven't quite been as clinical as certainly they were last season. And today, not being clinical but making mistakes defensively is what cost them. You know, Kyle Walker has had 2 nightmares. Doesn't close the ball down with Schlupp for the first one and gives the penalty away. The second goal, however, from Andros Townsend for Palace. If there's going to be a better goal this season, I mean, I can't wait to see it. It was sensational. But really, it's all about what's happening on the other side of the field. And we've been talking about how, with the injury to Aguero, they've missed Aguero to break teams down. Well, yes, they have. But you know the man they really miss? David Silva.
Oh, yes.
You know, when you have pretty much nearly 75% of the ball, obviously you're going to be up against a brick wall defensively, and you need people like David Silva to break it down, because today, other than that goal from Gundogan, which was a late run in the box, they didn't really look like scoring. I mean, De Bruyne's goal, their second, is a cross. He doesn't mean to score. And so, all in all, bad weekend for City, but as you started with, a great weekend for all Liverpool fans.
All right, well, let's go there then now, because I know we don't like to call things so early, especially considering we are only in December. But Stevie, how happy does this make you? How confident does this make you? So that, do you see Liverpool already with one hand on the trophy?
No. We're not past Christmas yet. Listen, it's great that they have room for manoeuvring, basically what it is. Up until this loss today for City, they had no room to slip up. Now, hey, the shoes are on their foot. They're in charge of what happens between now and the end of the season. I'm confident Liverpool are not going to falter. They're not going to slide away. They're not going to turn into some horrible side. It just depends on City for me now. Do they go on one of those incredible runs that they did at the beginning of last season? Because the way Liverpool's going about it, City may have to do something like that.
And we definitely would not put it past them to do
No,
something
you
like
would
that.
not.
Knowing that the bench that they have and Manchester City, this one's definitely going to hurt them and possibly propel them to quite a spectacular run.